What rich people know about wealth that poor people were never taught. Let me be real with you for a second. You've been lied to. Your whole life, from the moment you stepped into that classroom, sat down at that desk, and let the system feed you information, you were being set up to stay exactly where you are. They taught you history, they taught you algebra, they taught you how to diagram a sentence nobody ever uses in real life. But did they ever sit you down and say, hey, here's how money actually works? Nope. And that wasn't an accident. See, while you were memorizing dates and doing book reports, kids from wealthy families were sitting at dinner tables hearing conversations about stocks, assets, tax strategies, and generational wealth. They were absorbing knowledge you didn't even know existed. And now you're out here grinding 40, 50, 60 hours a week, tired, stressed, living paycheck to paycheck, wondering why it feels like no matter how hard you work, you just can't get ahead. I'm going to tell you why. Welcome to Money Fandom, and today we're pulling back the curtain on everything the wealthy know that the system made sure you didn't. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing that'll hit different when you really understand it. Rich people are not working harder than you. I know that's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you're out here on your feet all day, picking up extra shifts, running on coffee and stress. But stay with me. The average wealthy American is not grinding harder. They figured out something fundamentally different about how money moves. They make their money work for them. What does that actually mean? It means instead of trading time for dollars, which is what most of us do, they put their money into things that generate more money while they sleep. We're talking real estate, stocks, businesses, dividends, royalties. There's a term for this, passive income, and in rich households, that's not just a buzzword, that's the whole game plan. Here's the cold truth. A 9-to-5 will never make you wealthy. It can keep you stable, and stability is nothing to sleep on. But wealthy? Nah. Because the moment you stop working, the money stops too. That's called active income, and it has a ceiling. Rich people don't have an income ceiling because they built systems. You need to stop asking, how do I make more money, and start asking, how do I make money that keeps coming in when I'm not working? That one mindset shift, that's worth more than any degree they tried to sell you. All right, let's talk about assets and liabilities, and I'm not going to make this boring, I promise. Rich people think in terms of assets. Poor and middle-class people, through no fault of their own, were taught to think in terms of stuff. Here's the difference. An asset puts money in your pocket. Rental property that generates rent, stocks that pay dividends, a business that runs without you. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Your car payment, your credit card debt, that boat nobody's using sitting in the driveway. Now here's where it gets wild, because wealthy people have expensive things too, right? Big houses, luxury cars, all of that. But the difference is the order in which they buy things. Rich people acquire assets first, then they use the income from those assets to pay for the luxuries. The rest of us, we buy the luxury first, the fresh kicks, the new whip, the upgraded apartment, and then wonder why we're always broke. We were never taught the order of operations for wealth. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and if you haven't read that book, go get it after this video. But the core lesson is simple. Before you buy anything that costs you money, ask yourself, do I have assets that can pay for this? That's it. That's the whole cheat code. Rich kids grew up hearing this at the kitchen table. You didn't, but now you're hearing it now, and now you can't unlearn it. Right talk? How many of y'all grew up thinking the stock market was for old white dudes in suits? Because same, that's literally the image we were given. Nobody in my neighborhood was talking about index funds at the cookout. Nobody's mama was explaining compound interest over Sunday dinner. It felt like a whole other world designed for people who already had money. And that narrative, that kept millions of working-class Americans completely out of one of the greatest wealth-building tools ever created. Here's what rich families know that got passed down like a family recipe. The stock market, over time, goes up. Not every day, not every year, but historically, the S&P 500, which is basically a collection of America's 500 biggest companies, has returned an average of about 10% per year over the long haul. You know what your savings account is giving you? Maybe 0.5%. Maybe. The wealthy have been quietly letting compound interest do the heavy lifting for generations. And compound interest is, and I mean this, the most powerful force in personal finance. Let me break it down fast. You invest $5,000. It grows 10%. Now you've got $5,500. Next year, that $5,500 grows 10%, not just the original $5,000. You're earning interest on your interest. And over 20, 30, 40 years, that snowball becomes an avalanche. But nobody taught you this in school because a financially educated population doesn't need to stay in debt, and debt is a trillion-dollar industry in this country. You don't need to be rich to start investing. Apps like Fidelity, Schwab, even Robinhood, you can start with $20. The game changed. The access is there now. The only thing still missing is the knowledge, and you're getting it right here. You want to know something that'll make your blood boil a little bit? The single biggest wealth gap between Black and white Americans and between low-income and high-income Americans broadly can be traced directly back to real estate, homeownership, property, land. Wealthy families have been stacking real estate for generations, and it works on multiple levels that most people never even think about. Level 1, appreciation. Property values go up over time. You buy a house for $200,000 and 15 years later, it's worth $350,000. You just made $150,000 doing basically nothing. Level 2, equity. Every mortgage payment you make builds ownership in something real and tangible. Rent, that's building equity for your landlord. Every month you pay rent, you're making somebody else richer. Level 3, rental income. This is where it gets real spicy. Wealthy people don't just own the homes they live in, they own homes other people live in. Your rent check going straight into somebody else's passive income column. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't afford to buy property in this economy. And look, I hear you. The housing market right now is no joke. Interest rates got people shook. But the principle still stands, and there are ways to get into real estate without buying a whole house. REITs, real estate investment trusts, let you invest in real estate like you invest in stocks. You can buy into a REIT for the price of a share. You get exposure to real estate income without needing a down payment. The wealthy don't just know about real estate, they build their wealth through it. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you can start playing the same game. Okay, so we've been talking about money moves, but let's switch gears for a second because this next one hits different. Rich people invest in themselves, but not in the way you think. See, when most people hear invest in yourself, they think go back to school, get another degree, stack up more credentials. And the wealthy, they think mentorship, networks, skills, and time. Here's the tea. The most valuable currency in wealthy circles isn't money, it's access. Who you know, who knows you, what rooms you're in. There's a saying, your network is your net worth. And in rich America, that is not a motivational poster quote. That is literally how business deals get done. It's how job opportunities get passed around before they're ever posted online. It's how investment opportunities circulate among people who already have money. Rich kids go to elite colleges not just for the education, but for the network. The roommate who becomes a venture capitalist, the classmate whose family owns a hedge fund, the professor who opens a door to an internship that turns into a career. Meanwhile, first-generation college students are taking out loans to go to school and working 2 jobs and trying to study with 0 time to build a network. That's not a coincidence. That's a structural advantage built into the system. But here's the good news. In 2025, the internet democratized access to networks in a way that's never existed before. LinkedIn, Twitter, Discord communities, podcasts, YouTube, you can put yourself in the orbit of successful people in ways your parents never could. Stop waiting to be invited into rooms. Build your own table. Get around people who are doing what you want to do. Invest in courses, coaching, and skills that have real market value. Because the degree you spent $60,000 on depreciates, but skills and relationships, those compound. This one's going to mess with your head because everything you were taught about debt was about avoiding it, fearing it, getting out of it. And that's good advice for consumer debt. Credit cards, payday loans, car loans for depreciating vehicles. Yeah, stay away from that. That's the kind of debt that bleeds you dry. But rich people use debt to build wealth, and there's a name for it: leverage. Here's how it works. Instead of saving up $200,000 cash to buy a rental property, a wealthy investor puts down $40,000, borrows the rest from the bank, and uses the tenant's rent to pay off the mortgage. They're building equity in a $200,000 asset using other people's money. That's leverage, using borrowed money to control a larger asset than you could afford outright, and letting that asset generate income to pay back the loan. The wealthy also use OPM, other people's money. Business owners raise capital from investors instead of using their own funds. Real estate developers use bank loans. Corporations issue bonds. They understand that strategic debt used to acquire income-generating assets is not a burden, it's a weapon. Now, compare that to how low-income Americans encounter debt. Predatory payday loans at 400% interest rates set up in neighborhoods where banks won't go.